Half a million people could lose their jobs depending on how the trade war goes. It's like, that's huge.
Trauma is internalized and then becomes part of your DNA.
We're leaving this country. It's over.
And a decision like that should not be made solely based on emotion.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And I co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team, we've reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And we're broadcasting live on June 20th. And here in the Toronto area, we're I think, if I'm not mistaken, summer starts officially tonight around 10:24 p.m. And we are finally getting into the 3 H's in the Toronto area: hot, hazy, and humid. So I am really happy to be here, really excited for another epic conversation. We got two friends of the Dr. Vibe family going to be dropping knowledge about what's going on in the U.S., but a few things, as you see, more new things going on our platform. Traditionally, you see we have our QR code. So if you want to scan the QR code, it'll take you to the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube channel. And also look at this. We're also showing the time, real time, Eastern time, showing up on the screen today. So we're really excited about that. And if you are watching this live, tell us a win that you've had since the last time you've been on the platform. What's been a win that you've had? What has been a win? And I actually see something. I messed up the QR code. I'm going to fix that in real time. I just see that I've messed it up a little bit. So I'm going to make sure that I get it right, because it's got Aisha's picture, but it's not taking you to Aisha. It's going to take you to me, but that's okay. So really, we got comments already in the house. Almost America. The current blitz in the book. I think what you're saying, I think you wanted to click a just run. Amen. Ooh, run. They say, ooh, run. So already people are just already engaged into what we're saying this day. What's coming up this weekend on the show? Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala is tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern time. That's January 21st. And on Sunday, we've got Black Canada Talking at 5 p.m. Eastern time with my good friend, Cesar Nadima Musa. And then at 8 o'clock, we have Black Men Can Talk with myself, Kofi Morris, and Paul Osborne. We're going to be talking about what does care look like for black men? The whole aspect of care. You know, we just passed having Father's Day just under a week ago. What is care look like for Black men? So Almost American, thank you for being in the house this morning. Let me tell you, yesterday was a great day, then it dipped a little bit. Now, as I told you, we've been using this new platform a lot, and myself and producer Matt, we spent a little bit of time getting everything looking good for today. And I wanted to change the thumbnail on all the platforms that this is going to be broadcast on. I changed the thumbnail. What happens? It just goes crazy. And now we're only broadcasting live today on 3 platforms: YouTube, Twitch, and Substack. And so that's all we're broadcasting on today. So anyone who's watching on Facebook, you ain't going to watch it. And plus, Facebook's done, I don't know if you realize it, but if you do any live streaming, if you're broadcasting on Facebook, you can only keep it up for 30 days now. And I don't know, we may slide this into our conversation. There's a big hubbub in regards to TikTok. I don't know if we're going to get into that today. Hey, who knows? Matt says, me and my other colleague Alicia love Primetime Saturdays. Yes, if you haven't checked it out, you should. Right? You should check it out. You need to check it out. Big time. But yeah, we've been having a good time there. So yeah, so I want, look, people are already in. So this is good, especially all on the YouTube channel. So make sure that you share wins. We're going to try some more things out. So we're going to do some live polls. Now, I've done some before, but we're going to use a new piece of software today to see if we can get the poll. So we need you to interact today. Interaction and stay cool. That's the key today. But yeah, we spent a lot of time getting back to setting up. We spent a lot of time setting this up yesterday, and I wanted to change the thumbnail, and it just went buggy on me. And producer Matt, he has a part-time gig, and I said, should I text him? So I texted him. I said, you know what? If I don't get him, no problem. Life goes on with that. He didn't answer, so I said, I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to leave it as is. As long as it can broadcast on YouTube, that's the most important thing. So a lot of people in the house this morning. I love it. You know what? Since we only have, I know Aisha's till the top of the hour, we're going to get right to it. So we're going to take a 30-second break, and then we're going to come back, and we'll do a little housework, and then we're going to get Aisha and Dr. Tachi talking about the current state of politics in America. So we'll be back in 30 seconds. So we have Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala.
Will some of these places stand up and say, no, you can't come to our country? Because if they set that precedent, you might as well set the world on fire.
Right. He literally wrote an executive order defining what womanhood is.
This is the times that we live in now, y'all. You can either be mad about it and make yourself sick, or you can decide what you're going to do with your life and make it positive.
All right, I mentioned it before. Primetime Saturday, live, Saturday afternoons, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Check it out, where Aisha and Lala try to make sense out of the nonsense that's going on in America. All right, she's in the house. FitNance IQ Cam says, Morning. Hope you are doing well, FitNance IQ Cam. Good to see you. And let's do some housework. So as always, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. We've hit 1,840 subscribers. Yes. So next we're going for 1,850 subscribers, which would be amazing. Also follow the like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. Also join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Please feel free to email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com, or click on the link that's in the screen right there. And also most of you are going to be watching on YouTube today, so all this stuff you'll see on the YouTube channel. To advertise your business, product, or service on our show, please feel free to email me again, dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And I guess we'd be remiss, Dr. Tachi is actually going to be with us today. So IndieSoup TV, where you catch all great content from independent content creators. I think you're at 27K right now, I believe, 27.8. Well, I'll check during the conversation, but there's a YouTube link. There's the website link. So as Dr. Tachi, without further ado, let's bring Dr. Tachi and Aisha K. Stagger to the house. What is up, ladies? All right, what is up? You got to unmute yourselves before we can bring you up.
Hey.
Go. I hear Aisha K. Stagger, who's just waiting for Dr. Tachi. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't even see the thing. Sorry.
It's okay. It's for most of us, a new platform. So, hey, no worries about that. And also in the house, the American IRS. Okay, good morning. Interesting title. So, ladies, good morning. How are we both doing?
Good.
Ooh.
Hot.
Yeah, it is hot. But you know what? For you all, I know this is like outside of the norm.
There you go.
But this is normal hot here. So people are like, what's hot? I'm like, is it? Because this is normal hot here. But if I may, yesterday was amazing.
Yes,
on
yes, go ahead.
Yes. on IndieSoup Media, we actually were the media sponsor for a program, the National Black Debutante Project. And Dr. Nikita Harris is actually doing scholarship and research, and also just awareness for history of Black debutantes. So yesterday was talking about African American cotillions as a form of resistance. And so we had some of the heads of the oldest cotillion clubs in the country. For example, the Illinois Club, which is in New Orleans, the Idlewild Club in Dallas, Texas. Dr. Harris herself was a debutante presented by the assemblies in Fort Worth, Texas. And I started off the process of being a debutante, but I didn't finish. But I had been the co-chair of our cotillion for Delta Sigma Theta for 2 years. So it hit home for me as well. And it was an amazing conversation. We had a lot of people that came, 170 people were there. It was absolutely amazing.
Nice.
What is a cotillion? Can you educate some of us?
I'm sorry.
No, it's
Absolutely.
Okay.
So a cotillion, you can think about it as parallel to a rites of passage program in Africa. You can think about it like a quinceañera that many Hispanic cultures do. And so it is intended to be either your junior year of high school or your senior year of high school. And this is where you are presented to society. And with African American cotillions, of course, we could not join the Black people in general, not just African Americans, could not join the non-melanated ones. And so what ended up happening, as usual, is we create our own spaces and then we just go off with it, right? So there's so many things. So often it depends. They're often intended to raise funds. Sometimes they're not, but sometimes they're for raising scholarships. The nice thing that has happened lately is the inclusion of some young ladies that traditionally may not have been included because of funding. And so there are now people like the cotillions that I am with. We try to help raise money so that lots of girls can participate. And it's really a way that fosters self-esteem, lets you know that you matter as a young black woman in the world, and that there is space for you. So that's what a cotillion is. And usually the presentation is like a ball. So they usually have a long white dress. Sometimes they're wearing gloves. There is dancing. There's a program. So that's what it is.
And how long has this tradition been going on for?
Oh goodness, forever. When
Okay.
you look at some of the older clubs, we're talking about early 1900s. In some cases, just not too long after the end of enslavement, right? And so this was also a way to say the enslavement was not who we are. This is also who we are. It's a huge form of resistance to tell people, no, this is who we are. And guess what? We're wearing the dresses better than you, you know? So, but if you look at New Orleans, the Illinois Club in New Orleans, it was something that was parallel with Mardi Gras. Yesterday, the person from the Illinois Club was telling Mr. Thibodeau was telling the story about how, Mardi Gras was really just a sloppy drunk thing before, or an excuse to become inebriated. But what happened is they started elevating it with things like debutante balls, with things like where you see the parades and you have the queen of this and whatever. So debutante balls were also part and parcel of that in New Orleans. And then you see that throughout the country. It's not just the South. Detroit, very big in the debutante spaces. There was a woman from that was representing the Swans Club in San Bernardino, California. So it's really interesting.
Yeah. They have them here too. There's like in the Fairfield County area of Connecticut, I know that there is, they have a big Black cotillion club there that they do across that general county.
Wow. Okay. So Aisha, what can you give us a win?
My win was
a win you've had since we last saw
I know, I'm trying to think. You know what? My win this week was not being so hard on myself. If I didn't finish anything, I'm like, there's tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
It's like I don't have to
That
do everything.
part.
I don't have to
I
do
like
everything
that.
today.
I like that. I like
And
that.
I got myself a manicure and a pedicure
Okay.
because and I had to convince myself to not feel bad about it because when you take care of other people and other things, pampering feels like in overindulgence. And I was like, no, when was the last time I did this for myself?
Nice.
So that was my win.
All right. And we got some comments here. The American IRS says the trip is looking straight fire, Dr. Tachi. Dare I say, absolutely tax free. I love that. I
Thank
love
you.
and
It
then,
was not tax free, but thank you.
and then Frequency Event Promotions. What is up? Good day, everyone, and all. Good to see you here. All right. You were talking about resistance, Dr. Tachi. So,
Yeah.
what's going on in the current political landscape of y'all country? Because I'm north of the 49, you're south of the 49. Who wants to stop? Who wants to start?
I'll go.
Let,
It's
let's
chaos
let
as usual. It's chaos as usual. I mean, here's the thing: is that this has become the course of the day. Trump again lost some more things in court this week, but the media has not done a good job at painting those things as wins for people who are resisting. And I really think that those things should be leading the pack. We're in a situation right now that we're on the brink of war. We're on the brink of economic collapse. We're on the brink of having our democratic led cities and towns invaded by our own military. And when I say they talk about the Latino population invading the country, no, the invasion is coming from our own government. Like when you federalize the National Guard and you send them into a city, especially a city where right now there's no violence going on. The mayor lifted the curfew, and just yesterday he adds an additional 2,000 National Guard to a city that doesn't need it and threatens to do this to other cities, particularly sanctuary cities. I live in a sanctuary city. It's a 15 square mile city. Okay, we don't need the National Guard here, and we have Ecuadorian consulate. We don't need any of that here, and so the chaos is what is defining our country in this moment. And if you don't pull yourself away from it, you can resist, you can protest and all that, but you also have to, if you're going to live in this country and keep your wits about yourself and keep yourself sane, you have to also pull back from the chaos and realize that the chaos of the country can't be the chaos in your life.
Dr. Tachi.
Bars, Aisha. Bars. The chaos in the country cannot be the chaos in your life because then you become chaotic. I can't agree with that more. First of all, when we look at the fact that this is throwing weight around, literally and figuratively, this is just him throwing his weight around. I'm sorry. This is just, I've never seen anyone delight so much in tearing things down. And this is because that's the only thing he's good at. I'll go back again to the fact of how many times has he been bankrupted? Was it 6 times?
6.
Yeah, he was bankrupted 6 times, which means you are an expert in the decimation of structures. This is what you know, and that's really the only thing he knows. So if we're looking at it on a level of what he is able to do, he is fully aware that he cannot run things properly. He's fully aware that he doesn't have the background to do that. He's also fully aware that he is surrounded by imbeciles. So what can you do? Well, I can tear things down. And this really mirrors when you look at a lot of dictatorships, it's the same thing. If you look at the people that are in charge, there's not very much talent to them besides the ability to throw weight around. So this is mirroring that. And this is, I mean, dare I say, dangerous? It absolutely is. And anybody who thinks it is not a dangerous situation, please wake up. Anybody who thinks it's not me, it's them, it's you too, witch. You too. Et tu, Brute, you too. It is you as well. federalizing, to Aisha's point, federalizing the National Guard. Let me say it in vernacular. Where they do that at? Where do they do this? This is that's only the beginning. And again, doing it in states where, again, sanctuary cities, border places, except the ones who, because I haven't heard very much of that in this here, in DeClantis's Florida. I haven't heard very much about that happening. And really quickly, I'll tell you. So last Saturday, my intent was to do a media scope from the beach. Had all my equipment. Of course, I knew it was No King's Day, but I wasn't thinking that they were going. I wasn't thinking that they were going to be protesting on the beach. How wrong I was. I was getting ready to go over the bridge to get to the beach. And I was like, why is a helicopter just hovering over the beach? Then I started noticing people with signs and I said, oh, I turned right around. But then I said, you know what? Maybe I could cover it. And then the part of me, my friend said, the part of me that got the PhDs kicked in and said, no, turn around. Because I was going to, maybe talk to some people on the way there. Because to your point, again, Aisha, the media, the mainstream media is not doing a very good job of assuring people of the wins that are actually happening on the behalf of the people. And so we cannot rely on mainstream media anymore because they're too beholden to the powers. Mm-hmm. So that's what I have to say to that.
Okay, so just to start, so we're going to go right in and we're going to start our first poll for today. So we're going to go, and producer Matt, let's go to it. So our first poll for today is, what are your thoughts about the current state of American politics? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link up on the screen. So if producer Matt, if you can go to that lower third, and it will tell people the link that they need to go to. There's a poll. What are your thoughts about, you know what? I forgot to put the link in. So bear with me, producer Matt. I forgot to put in the link. But let me just go right here to it right now and make an adjustment in real time. Edit. And we'll do right now. So you can either go to, if you're watching via phone, you can swipe the QR code, or you can copy the link and go to the link and vote. So what are your thoughts about current U.S. American politics? So we got to watch before we run, family. So in regards to this, do you guys want to comment at all about 47 maybe getting involved in a war?
Well, here's the thing about that. It is, again, part of the chaos. It's also part of the distraction, because you think this immigration thing, you know why this is a distraction? The immigration thing, Fox News did a poll. His own people, he's underwater with his own people. So what does he do? He does what he always does to distract from that, to distract these policies aren't this. The political assassinations. He doesn't want to talk about political violence because that really is the conversation that we need to be having. So what does he do? Instead, he blurts out on social media, Tehran better, retreat and all this stuff, and we might do this, because this is what he knows how to do. He doesn't know how to govern. He doesn't realize that foreign policy actually is a thing you have to have skill, talent, and be diplomatic at. You can't just tweet it out and think that that people are going to do what you say. That to me is the epitome of a weak man pretending to be a strong man. And so what he's doing with this whole thing with the war, are we going to go into it? To be perfectly honest, I don't think he will. And the reason why is because the fissure it's causing within the MAGAverse right now, that they're like back and forth. He had a meeting with Steve Bannon yesterday. Steve Bannon is BS. Steve Bannon has no role. He's not a federally elected official. He's not wealthy. He just happened to work for Trump and says nice things about him from time to time. But he's against it. And the fact that this man took a meeting with him shows you that he recognizes that this is causing this friction in the MAGA universe, but he didn't anticipate that. he figured he could distract with this and do the whole war thing, and that would shift people's focus, and people would line up behind an American president taking America to war, because he's in his mind, he's still living as if it is 1945. 1950. It's not that time period. We don't line up behind war anymore because people don't really want it. It's expensive, it's time consuming, and people die. So this is really just where we are with him trying to distract, and he's going to pull us into war to do it if he has to. General Bone Spurs is not going to take anybody into war. He couldn't go to war himself. 5 times he got deferments. So yeah.
Want to shout out the American IRS says the fear of small men desperately trying to hold on what power they have. And good morning, Derek T. Tuggle says good morning, Dr. Vibe Show, and good morning, Dr. Tachi.
You know, the American IRS, I think that every morning or every day that I'm on the interstate and I see a man in a big pickup truck that tries to intimidate me in my little small sedan and drives up very, very close behind me and then tries to forcefully, they do that. And I realize that that's a really small man that has to do that they need a big truck like that to feel like they have power. Trump's the same way. His people, by the way, are the ones who buy those trucks. So that can tell you everything you need to know.
Speak, Dr. Tachi. Come on, you had a long day yesterday.
Did I? But you're absolutely right. When you see things like this, and it's funny, whenever I see a pickup truck, and this is not always the case, but this is what appearances do. Whenever I see a pickup truck, I'm like, pickup trucks remind me of racism. That's not always the case. But when I say, this person is and they've done it to themselves. They've done it to themselves. A hyper masculine, racist vehicle. If a vehicle can be racist,
on the back of the pickup truck. If you live in this
exactly,
house, it's very common.
Exactly. Which then also, it's a whole other thing because it then also leads into the types of things that people do, because the type of work that they do, it just adds to all of this. Hence the dichotomy between quote unquote what was white collar and what was blue collar, and why certain people. So it's not an accident if you see somebody driving a pickup truck, they happen to fly a flag, they happen to work in this industry, and they happen to be magnots. Okay, it is not a coincidence. It follows a whole trajectory. But on to this war. How I just can anybody explain to me how this is our business? Any of this?
Okay.
Please, I just need an explanation. Go ahead.
That part. Okay, so I get not wanting nuclear weapons in the hands of dangerous administrations. I get that. But if I recall correctly, how this all started was Trump was actually going to pull out again on yet another deal with Iraq. So Iraq was not, Iran. So they don't show up to because they had been complying with letting the people come in and investigate
and inspect.
They did not allow for that the last time. And that was the thing. And I think this is why this is our business, because I think behind the scenes, those talks started to break down with this administration. And so there was that part. But then you have, if Trump says that him and Netanyahu have been in this conversation, so clearly the talks were breaking down behind the scenes. He's having these conversations with Netanyahu. Netanyahu's like, oh, well, war is not enough for what we're doing right now. We have to, and putting it under the guise of protecting themselves, for me, I think is, okay, we're doing a preemptive strike. Here's the part I don't understand. And I think for Israel should learn this lesson from America. You can't fight 2 wars simultaneously and be a victor in either one. We know that from after 9/11, because there was no reason for us to go into Iraq and Kuwait when we're trying to fight if we're trying to quote unquote protect ourselves from this terrorist threat that came from Saudi Arabia. See, and then we're going into and then we went into Afghanistan. And how did all this end? it's a mess. And so I don't know why he thinks that, I don't know why Israel thinks that they can do the two things at once. And then the United States should not they're fighting a war that they need a particular type of bomb that only we produce, and only we have the aircraft capability to help them get into this mountain where they're keeping the thing. Hello, you should have asked first. And the thing is that if he did ask, it tells you Trump was like, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because he doesn't know, he's dumb. Because he's dumb.
Well, and so to all of it, to this point, why would you trust the U.S. over? Why? We have proven over and over that we are untrustworthy. This has been, I'm not just talking about now. The U.S. is not trustworthy. They have been untrustworthy. It's just now that we have imbecilia in charge that we really see who's untrustworthy. Because not only are you untrustworthy, but you're daft and you have no skill. So because of that, now should be the time that you trust us even less. So if you were given the go ahead, because here's the thing, without the military might of the U.S., this is talking about Israel, they would be in trouble because Iran would decimate them.
Yeah.
They would be in serious trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all going back because it's bigger than this. It's bigger than warheads. This goes back to 1948.
Mm-hmm.
This goes back to not wanting stability in that region at all.
Wow.
There is no. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, so I just want two more comments. The American IRS says, I bet those people in those trucks don't pay taxes very well. I understand your frustration, Aisha. And then,
they don't.
And Derek says, right, they give you the impression of being a maggot. And remember, if people ain't used to Dr. Tachi, he has her own dictionary. Just want to make sure you know that. He's seeing all this that is in Project 2025 is not working.
Yeah, and side note, American IRS, I'll tell you this. I'm one of those people that you don't poke the bear. So for one of those trucks getting behind me and then beeping in obnoxiously loud, I take my foot off the gas. Interstate or not. Foot's coming off the gas and I'm slowing down. And then there will be the person that drives up and has the nerve to want to say something. And, well, I speak back. So that's how I handle those things. But you know what, though? Here's the other part. I think that Lawrence O'Donnell has done a very good job the last 2 weeks of breaking this down and making it real. Because Trump, and I don't want people to be disillusioned by the fact that he says he left the G7 because of this thing going down with Iran. And no, the reason he left the G7 because nobody welcomed him. Nobody worshipped him. They don't like him. They were talking about him behind his back. And then he fell. He fell in front of everybody. And after he fell is when and I was so glad that Lawrence broke this down. Lawrence said he fell. And then 15 minutes later, you hear this announcement that he's coming back. He was embarrassed. That's why he came back. He doesn't like being embarrassed, period. He was embarrassed. And by the way, that's the second time he fell in 7 days.
Yeah. Okay.
All 4 years talking about Joe Biden falling twice.
We have to look at things in totality, and health is part of this. Why do you think it's required to give a report about health? Now, the only thing is that, in this case, they've been extremely untruthful. He has some other wackadoo cockamamie doctor on payroll that will say any number of things and convince you that he is Usain Bolt.
185 pounds, my ass. Oh, excuse me, Dr.
Okay. Now, you know good and damn well. Okay? Come the hell on. So
I know thick black chicks. I know what 185 pounds looks like.
Exactly. It is not you, sir. It is not you, sir. So, health is very intricately tied to the ability to govern. So again, if we're looking at this in a from a theorist standpoint, for the people who really want to be empowered, this is just fine. They're just biding their time. Yeah, keep falling. Well, keep falling. They're just biding their time. He's a puppet. And I think, people said, oh, he this and I'm like, it's not him, my dear. He's barely making, and he's flying by the seat of his pants. He's using eeny, meeny, miny, mo. He throws darts at a board and like, yes, tell them yes. Okay. So he really doesn't have any clue. There is a bigger, dare I say, more sinister force underneath this, which is why it's so important that this gets under control.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think the person that we need to be more afraid of isn't Donald Trump. It is Stephen Miller, because the plans that
Yeah.
are being executed right now are being pushed by Stephen Miller. This immigration thing, talking about, they're trying to immigrate 1 million people by December. And the only way that they found they can do that is if they do 3,000 people a day. Here's my thing. For all these quote unquote, Matt, this is how Matt stupid MAGA is, right? All these quote unquote freeloading migrants that they're talking about, how come they're always showing up at their workplace to arrest them if they're freeloading?
If they're freeloaders, right?
At their workplace, right? And if they're not doing the right things and they're hiding out and they're criminal and all this, then why are you showing up to the immigration check-in places where they're going to actually follow the law? And I think this is the most deceitful thing. I don't think that they should be able to send notices to people and say, hey, we changed the date of your check-in to this date just so they can arrest them. That sounds like entrapment. Any American citizen would call it entrapment.
It's entrapment and fraud.
Yes. And the sad part is that it's fraud, and the agency that would hold them accountable for fraud is not doing it. But here's what I need people to know. I watched over, like you said you were doing the No King's Day thing, Dr. Bot. I didn't do anything. I didn't do the No King's Day thing. We did a show that day. But the one thing that I did notice is that people have been saying, why aren't Democrats doing anything? Why aren't Democrats doing anything? Why aren't Democrats doing anything? And then it really occurred to me, and I had to say this to someone. Which Democrats? Are you talking about the elected officials, or do you want the DNC, the DCCC, the DSCC, the DLC? Because here's the thing. There's the Democratic Party, but then there are all those factions that are fundraising arms. People expect them to do the advocacy work, but what they don't realize is they are fundraising arms. You want to know why you get a buttload of emails, political emails? You'll be like, there's 8 in a row they're not coming from the same place. Act Blue might be collecting it, but you're getting a fundraiser from the DLC, one from the DNC, one from the DCCC, from Young Democrats, one from the SCC. You're getting one from the larger Democratic Party. You're getting one from the Senate. So realize all this is the fundraising arm of it. You want them to do something. What you need to tell them, you want to protest, you want to do this, you want to get Democrats to really do something, tell them we're not giving any money until we see some action, because that will stop them from feeling like, oh, well, we need money to do this. You don't need money. You don't need money to walk out of a hearing. You don't need money to hold side hearings and get TV cameras there. They don't need
No.
that from us. What you want our support, you want our votes. You're going to have to do more. But I have a feeling the way that this war thing is happening, Dr. Biden, Dr. Tachi, I think by December, you're going to see a really big shift in terms of, you think the chaos is really bad now? Remember how chaotic MAGA was a year and a half ago when they were getting rid of Kevin McCarthy? You're not going to recognize even that level of chaos, because by the end of the year, we're going to be either in war or trying to decide that while they're still trying to work out this budget deal, and House Republicans know that they're vulnerable. The stuff's really going to hit the fan by March.
Okay, We're talking about the current state of American politics with Aisha K. Staggers and Dr. Tachi. Just want to say, to put it up on the screen, if you want to get a hold of Aisha, there's Instagram, Medium, Blue Sky, Substack. I forgot friend of mine, but there wasn't enough space. I didn't want to create two
Brendo
tabs.
Media, yeah, but you can find that on Blue Sky too, because they post my work there. So.
And then Dr. Tachi, because of the hiccup we had earlier this morning, the best place to get a hold of her is on Instagram at dr_Tachi. All right. Let me ask ladies, what in your conversations with people who look like us, what are they saying about what's going on with American politics?
You know, here's the thing. I am very purposeful about who and with and where I spend my time these days, because here's the thing. And I had to tell Ron, from Touch Base Daily, we converse on a regular basis, at least once a week. We're on the phone. And I said, I've had to pull back. Yeah, and usually I try not to be entrenched because I know how I can be. I've had to pull back on watching certain things because I said, Ron, the other day I had a dream that ICE was roaming the neighborhood. That's when I know that I was, oh, hell no. This is when I know I need to pull back on some things. So I'm very purposeful in where I spend my time. And I think it's not putting your head in the sand. It's being aware. My thing is knowing just enough for when I need to run. So it's not putting my head in the sand, but it's also realizing that you are no good to any movement. You are no good to any life if you are frazzled all the time because of this. So the people that I'm speaking with, it's not in our circles, like in melanated circles, there's no disbelief. They're like, yeah, okay, we kind of known. And also, this is not our first rodeo. Does this look very different from what we've seen in the past? Yes and no. Mm-hmm. Yes and no. Yes, because it's a different face, but no is just because it's really the same thing. That given the chance, some other people would have behaved like this. Some other administrations would have behaved like this also. This is just the first time there's been a bubble that they could get in, a chink in the armor where they could get in. This is just the first time. So we've seen this before. And let's be clear, melanated communities have been experiencing this type of terrorism, domestic terrorism. So this is not anything new. So not that we're seeing this, and when I'm talking, not that we're seeing this as business as usual, but we see that, okay, this is not the first time. And I think what's happening is that we realize that for once, we have to protect us and our peace. We're so busy, always marching, always calling, always doing everything. And I mean, I will go back to the election that many people I'm talking to, well, your time to say something and do something was November 5th, and you chose not to do so. Therefore, we're done. Pass the tea. This is what I'm hearing. And of course, people are making comments and things like this. But for the most part, I'm talking to a lot of people that are saying, this is really not our fight. Too, I was watching EYL the other day, the Earn Your Leisure. And was it Hassan? I can't remember his name. Was it Bilal? I don't remember. But was saying that, when people are saying, well, this is not our fight, that doesn't make any sense. Well, I'm like, how, sir, does that not make any sense when we've been fighting and clearly it's not effective because everybody is not invested in the fight? So it's your turn. Sit down. I'm not doing the dishes tonight. They'll just have to sit because eventually you'll get tired enough and do them. That's what I'm hearing.
And Dr. Tachi, I think you're so right, because I think even beyond just, it's not so much that we're not doing things. We're not doing the things that they want us to do or they expect us to do. The way that we're showing up is different. We're, instead of showing up for the country and saving the country, we're showing up for our communities and we're protecting our communities. And community doesn't have to necessarily be the entire Black community. It can be the community within your household, your family. It can be the community in your neighborhood, your local community. It could be your church. It could be your school. It could be just your neighborhood, making sure that everything is safe on your block. That is how we have decided to show up. We're being more strategic in terms of this, because here's the thing. We understand the argument that people are making to us to try to compel us is that, eventually they're going to come for you. They have never stopped coming for us. That's the whole
Coming
thing.
for us.
They're,
Shut up. That's not an
they've been
excuse.
coming for us. They're always coming for us. Every day they're coming for us. So saying that to us is not a compelling argument when they've never stopped. But here's the other part of it that I think people really need to understand. You cannot ask or expect our intellectual power, our physical power of our bodies, us putting our bodies on the line for your freedoms when you do not want to fully come off your comfort zone for ours. You don't
Yes.
you cannot treat our freedom like an option and require us to do the work for yours. That's not something that's ever going to work, because guess what, the same thing happens in power dynamics between genders, but also there's a generational disconnect that Dr. Tachi was speaking to too, because you got to remember there are one, two, three, four living generations now that are post integration and don't call firsthand the knowledge of the things that happened before, right? So to them, when Dr. Tachi said it looks different, but it looks the same, it looks different because it's a different face. To those of us who have had some connection to that, or at least have people in our families when we were younger could tell us that, right? So we're still Gen X. We're still kind of on that brink here of like 2 feet, a foot on both sides. But the generations younger than us, this looks like the worst thing in the world to them because if you think about it, by the time he's done, 8 years of their life would have been spent in this chaos, with an additional 4 in the chaos of him hovering around and leaving his stain on the president that came after him. And so you're talking about 12 years. That's like with us as Gen Xers, the majority of our lifetimes, presidents were either a Clinton or a Bush, right? Either a Clinton was running for president or was president, or it was a Bush. And when I say Bush, I don't just mean the son and the father as president.
Mm-mm.
The father had also been a vice president. Don't forget that. He was a vice president too. So there were many, many years, and we even have the stain of Nixon around. Because remember, Nixon had been Eisenhower's vice president. So these things carry long terms, and the people, the Rumsfelds, and all those people, guess who they were They were working for Ford and for Nixon.
Mm-hmm.
So these people have been in our lives most of our lives. So we've been able to see that. So there's this generational divide there. But then, like you said, there's also a racial divide. I'm amazed at how many Gen Xers, white Gen Xers, I hear saying, "Oh, we didn't have these issues when we were growing up." No, you didn't. You treated us like we were invisible, so you didn't know if they existed. You didn't ask us if they existed. And let me remind you, there's a reason that there is a book from the '90s that is called "Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria?" Because that's what was going on for us as Gen Xers. So we have generations who have no concept of that. We have a generation who should have a concept of it, but part of that generation was so blinded by watching MTV and Dance Party USA every day that they couldn't be concerned with the plight of other people. So,
Yeah. No, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
no,
But
no,
you're to your point, you're absolutely correct. And I think this goes back, this is the crux of the entire conversation, that people, in terms of, okay, why aren't the Democrats doing anything? It didn't used to be like this. The crux of the conversation is that these people have never had to do anything. The onus was never on them to act. So now that the onus is on them to do something, if they don't know what to do. So there's an external local. Well, why are the Democrats doing something? Are you not a Democrat?
right.
Are you not? So those of us that are Democrats, right? Or even if you're not a Democrat, that come from a certain independent or even Republican, and you come from a certain time, there was an especially if you're melanated, there was this expectation that you act, and you did act, and you always acted against what was not right, standing up for yourself, right? But there is no expectation for some communities to do anything. It's always for them. And remember, the onus had always been on the oppressed to fight their own oppression. It was never for those doing the oppressing or benefiting from the oppression, even if you feel you're not doing it, benefiting for the oppression to fight for these types of things at all. And so now you have these children doing Dance Party USA and MTV, and then now fondly remembering on these Gen X pages, oh, well, we all look at everybody used to dance together. There was no problem. Which there was no problems for you.
There's a reason we had
no
Soul Train and
problem for
American
you.
Bandstand, because Black people and white people couldn't dance together on American Bandstand at first. Do not ever forget that.
Yeah, exactly. But see, they forgot, and they had no clue, and it's not talked about. This is why history is so important, and they know that. This is why they're working so hard to dismantle history. You cannot, but this is why they're working hard to do that. So I just wanted to put that in.
Dr. Vibe, we're talking about wins. You just reminded me, Dr. Tachi, you know what law passed goes into effect July 1st in Connecticut? They're bringing back, like, they integrated civics into American history. Now kids are going to be required to take a civics and media literacy course.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
Yes, that is a requirement that passed this past.
I love that.
Session. It goes into effect July 1st, so they're getting ready to do that for this coming fall, this coming school year. Civics and media literacy, and the goal is to teach kids about democracy, about voting behavior, about voting rights, about their rights under the Constitution, and how to read media sources, how to spot a deep fake, how to know what's a reputable source, how to do the research, how to know if the research is rigorous. I love that fact, because we're acknowledging the fact that, wait a second, we have young people are not voting or caring about democracy the way that they should, and two, they're being duped by social media and things that they see on social media and thinking that that's reality. And I love the fact that we're trying to undo it. It is a bit late, but the fact that we're one state trying to undo that, and I think that that's going to fix some of the crap that, you know, we see the non-melanated people in our generation who are the ones who say, oh yeah, everybody was together. And I went to a high school that was very racially mixed in a city that is a majority minority city. And I'm going to tell you, when it came to classes, I was always one of few in a sea of whites. Period. That had been my whole education. So I really don't, no, we're not together if there's just one or two of us in a space where there's 20 of you. That's not the kind of togetherness we're talking about.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that with regard to how all of this, you're taking all these different pieces, and our job here in this space on all of our platforms is we're going to have to untangle. It's like a ball of yarn. And our job in this space, this media space, because mainstream media is not doing it, is to pull all the individual pieces from the yarn, that ball, apart and lay them flat and straight so people can see them for what they are.
Could I speak to media literacy for a moment? First of all, I have to say how much I love this. Civics, part of the big problem was that civics was pulled out of the classroom a long time ago. And it's interesting. I think I mentioned this before. When I was a professor at Nova Southeastern, we brought Richard Dreyfuss to campus because he was we brought everybody to campus. At that time, they had money to spend. So because he was a big proponent of civics in the classroom. Now, yeah, you're an actor. Does this make it? But I liked the fact that he was talking about it then. And this was like in, wasn't around 2010 or something like that we brought him, and he was talking about this. So there's always been this debate about civics in the classroom and bringing it back. But part of the problem let me tell you what part of the problem is. STEM. There's nothing wrong with STEM. I think STEM is amazing. I think more melanated people need to be involved. But what happens is the education system in this country is one track. So they think that if we are putting this, oh, well, we have to get rid of civics, so and I'm not saying that's exactly where it started, but because of this whole now thing on set, and let's be clear. You did that because you want us to be able to compete with places like China and all of these other places, Japan, where the technology is whole. But guess what? It doesn't start from they start. It's endemic in the culture to do things like that. If you look at a classroom in China and what they do and how they move in the world, of course, the path is here. So you're just taking one part and say, oh, let's put STEM in. It's part of the entire system. It's not just that one piece. So when you do that, when they get these buzzwords, no child left behind, STEM, STEAM. They get these buzzwords and they think this means we have to cut this, and this, and they never attempt to find a way to integrate it all. They'll do stupid things like, oh, well, let's make the school day longer. Your children are still stupid. Forgive me, okay? They're still daft. They're still not up to par because the system is not up to par. So to your point, I'm so happy to see the civics coming back and then also the media literacy. Let me say this. I would love to teach. I always teach media literacy in whatever class I do, but I would love to teach a media literacy class. I don't know. I haven't really seen a whole bunch, but at one point they were doing Hillman Talk.
Right.
They're still doing it, but I would have loved to teach a media literacy class or something like that.
We
right?
should talk about that, Dr. Vibe, because I've been wanting to do the same thing. Just
Oh.
because honestly, because I think that media literacy is not just. I think the way that people approach it, it's not just about knowing the sources, because we both have backgrounds in academia. So there is a way of doing a thorough literature review. There's a process to it. There's a science to it. But I think the other part that comes with media literacy also has to come with teaching kids. We're talking about 2 and 3 generations now, how to put this thing away and go into stacks, sit with paper books, sit with their thoughts. Because honestly, there are learning techniques that we learned back in the 90s and things like that are very different than what these kids learn now. But I remember being taught that if you handwrite something down, you're more likely to remember it. There's a mind-brain connection that happens when you're doing that you don't get with the typing part of it, right? So
Absolutely.
there are those kinds of things and those kinds of strategies that I don't think that young people get. And also to your point about us wanting to compete and then throwing STEM in and getting rid of everything. They started with getting rid of the arts in the schools, and then they started getting rid of humanities class. And it was we'll just integrate civics into this. And the problem is that you have to have quality teachers too going into the field who are dedicated to finding ways of doing this. A lot of teachers are dedicated, but there are a lot who are not. My mother was very good in her history of bridging the arts, civics, media, all of that into the instruction of history. That's what we want our teachers to do. We have some teachers who are not good at doing that and then don't feel like they have anything to learn because they are the teacher. I think that's one of those things that kind of that erodes our education process. But also too, we have a lot of lazy parents, and I don't care if anybody gets offended for me saying that, but I treated my daughter, I don't want to say this, but I kind of, your first child, which I only have one, but your first child or your oldest, which I am the oldest, always is the experiment. And so I wanted my daughter to be able to read by the time she went into kindergarten. This started with her as an infant. This started in infancy. We're trying to
Yes.
get that to the point. My daughter was 2 years, and it also was a method of her watching me do the thing.
Yes. Yes.
By the time she was 2, my daughter told me, "Mommy, I want to learn how to read." And I said, "Oh, okay, go get one of your books." "No, I want to read books like you with no pictures." And so that's where we start. And I started sitting and reading a chapter book. Got a kid's chapter book, like Ramona Quimby or something like that I used to read back in the day.
Love it. Love Ramona.
Sat with her and read it. And by the time she was 6 and 7, I mean, she skipped kindergarten because she could read. So she went to first grade. But while she was 6 and 7, still in that period, she and I were having mother-daughter book club. I'd buy 2 copies of the same kid's chapter book. We'd read it, we'd discuss it, we'd try to make some of the recipes or whatever were in it, and I made it fun. But we're reading this together, we're having these conversations, we're having lunch together, talking about the book. We would do tea time, things like that. So parents also have to pick up part of that ball too. You can't expect your teacher to do it, and your kids aren't always going to get outstanding teachers. That's just how it is.
All right, we are right at the top of the hour, Aisha K. Staggers. So I want to say thank you for taking the time again. If you want to get a hold of Aisha, you can catch her on Instagram, Medium, Blue Sky, and Substack. And if you're watching this on June 20th, you can catch her on June 21st at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. We are looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, but thanks very much for taking the time, and be well.
Bye.
All right.
Aisha.
So as you see on the screen, that's the way you can get a hold of Dr. Tachi. And also subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. We're going now for 1,850 subscribers. Like the doctor. Yeah, well,
That's amazing.
We're not at the 23,000 of the world, or 28,000 or 27,000 of the world. I want to see 30K.
Soon.
Yes, soon come.
Soon.
I also like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Click on the link that's also on your screen. I think I've shared all that information on the YouTube platform. Also, to advertise your business product or service on any of the platforms that I'm a part of, email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And because she's here, IndieSoup TV. Go, there's the link there. Go check it out and subscribe and hit the notification button. Also, if you want to get a hold of Ryan Knight, I believe there we go. Ryan Knight, who's taking a little sabbatical this month. RyanO'NeillKnight.com, LinkedIn, Ryan O'Neill Knight, Instagram, Ryan.Knight99. And then email workwithme at RyanO'NeillKnight.com. And that's Knight with a KN, not an N. Thank you. If you want to catch me, website, the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, Instagram, the drvibeshow, X at drvibeshow, and email address I've said many times before. Also, you can catch me on the Substack at drvibe.substack.com/subscribe, and on Blue Sky at drvibe.bsky.social. As always, you can catch replays of this epic conversation on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show, Afro-Caribbean Business Network on Facebook, and Ryan O'Neill Knight YouTube. This is how we close it off. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both and make it better. We'll see you, family. Thanks. And also thanks for taking part in the polls today. Be well and keep the faith. Goodbye.
This whole thing of using your business with plant-based products, don't you think your life should reflect that too?
Juke him, Carolyn. Juke him. The family loves us here because they're saying Fitness IQ Can says put a wig on to get in.
Oh God. Oh my God.
Like the ideas are just coming fast and furious here this morning. What? Okay, look at this. Global Women Ambassador. Good morning. Look forward. Okay.